So Jeff, let's say I want to get into the construction industry with my own company. Pretty easy, isn't it?
Well, you would think, but not really. There's a lot of things you have to consider. You know, a lot of fields in construction. What are you interested in? What type of work? Grading, excavating, utilities, landscaping, structural. That's something that you've got to decide first and foremost before you ever decide to take the big step.
Okay. Well, so I've decided I'm going into excavating. What do I need to know then?
Well, need to have some resources available. Need to know about what size business you want to have or start off with, and availability of equipment. Are you going to how are you going to maintain your equipment? How are you going to get your equipment? To do the kind of work you want to do. And another thing, is employees. You need to have good quality employees to do good work, and sometimes, that can be costly to get the kind of men that you need to do your work.
Well, how much money do I need to do such a thing?
Well, a rule of thumb that we've always went by, that my father went by when he had his own business for roughly 28 years, and he was very successful in the construction industry, and he always said that if you're starting new, that you should have a minimum of 6 months of operating capital.
Define operating capital. What does that mean?
That would be to cover mainly your overhead expenses, as far as what you got to do to pick up work, to bid. You got to go through the bidding process, and most people out there, I'm sure, are like me. They can't afford just to quit their job and sit around for 6 months and bid work and hope they pick up something. I mean, you've got to be able to maintain your lifestyle and livelihood, and whatever you're acquiring. If you have equipment, whether you rent it or buy it, you've got to be able to make those payments. If you are functioning, you've got to be able to buy fuel. Most of the time, if you are awarded a job, it may be 60 to 90 days before you receive your first check on that project. There's a lot of different variables, to think about, what it's going to cost. You really need to do your research, to determine what that operating capital is going to be.
All right. So as far as the equipment, is it best just to go and borrow money from a bank to buy it? Is it better to lease it, or what's your thoughts?
Well, there again, that's going to depend on you as an individual. Of course, your credit, what your credit score is and what's available. Rental companies will generally work with you regardless. You've got to be in pretty bad shape, for the rental companies not to work with you. As far as buying equipment, that's the route I would try to seek. The main reason is, just take, for instance, a D8 dozer. If I go out and rent a Cat D8, it's going to cost me somewhere around $13,000 to $14,000 a month to rent that machine. And I've got to put fuel in that machine every day it runs. And if I go and buy that same machine and finance it, I can probably get my monthly payment somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000, just depending on the banks or if I go through the equipment company itself, what financing is available. But should be, between 50 and 60% savings versus rental machine.
Well, okay, then so if I want to go to a bank and borrow money for construction equipment, what is that bank going to want to know? What do I need to be able to?
Well, the first thing, you need to get you a portfolio put together of what your vision is, and what, if you do have current work, what your workload is, what your estimated income for the next 12 months, and work on hand and potential work coming up. You need to do your research and figure out exactly what equipment you need to do this particular job or the particular job you have in mind, and make sure you've got everything covered, because you don't want to go back to your banker a month and a half down the road like, well, I misrepresented myself. I need this much more, because that's going to put a bad taste in his mouth right off the bat.
So it sounds like it's very important that you do your homework in advance and be well prepared to talk to banks and whoever else you need to talk to do something like that.
Yes.
All right, Jeff. Thank you very much.
All right, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.